lowest cost electricity producer for the country compared to any other form of energy. So my personal view is that when country introduced safeguard duty for 2 years, uh, the trade barrier should have helped us to become globally competitive. And instead of exporting only 20%, probably 70-80% of our product should have gone into the global market. So when the tariffs are introduced, they actually raise the prices to the end consumer and divert resources away from efficient economic activities towards the less efficient economic activity. And the only reason governments do it because they believe by doing it for a period of 2 to 3 years, it will become efficient. But if you look at have we achieved that goal? We have failed to achieve that objective in the past 2 years, and the businesses have faced higher cost than otherwise they would have faced. The IPPs need more equity, and their whole business plan to the investors have got challenged, and more disputes have happened. Like right now, if you monitor CRC, probably they have hundreds of cases pending in CRC and other regulatory commission around solar change in tariff, etc., etc., and has also led to the capacity addition in the country and also employment fall. So I think the way to look at the policy intervention should be with the objective to become self-reliant in the country, create more job for the nation, and actually import substitution. So if these are the objective, along with energy security and availability and affordability, then tariffs have not achieved that objective. And with the grandfathering being announced by the minister and the ministry, if there is no clear process, then it will lead to more confusion. And one of the reasons why India has been successful in this, because it has attracted huge global investment. So you look at Canadian Pension Fund to large sovereign wealth fund, all of them have invested into this sector. And if they don't get their desired uh, financial outcome, and if this whole introduction results into lower income both for investor and the owners of capital, then this sector will become less attractive for the global capital base, and also yield into higher consumer price. So I think there are better ways to implement this, and there are better technique in which Indian companies can become globally self-reliant without causing permanent damage to this industry.
So let's hold that thought on better ways to implement, because we want to come back to that and brainstorm on that as a group. But picking on one thing which you said, that the looking at the industry in Germany, the government, or maybe looking at China, the government supported in a way that helped the industry thrive. So Sunil, what's your ask as a developer to the government in a way that it helps the developers grow, but doesn't, what would be our ask that will help us grow, but not penalize the module manufacturers?
I'll slightly go back. My only this thing is that I believe that all the people who are on the panel do believe in Atmanirbhar and Make in India, which are the buzzwords nowadays. So nothing against that. And we would anyway fully support them. And any which way, the entire rooftop segment, I believe 75% has supported the domestic manufacturers for whatever policies we have in place. My only point which I have with the government and with the manufacturer is, let's have a true Make in India, not an assemble in India, which is happening today. As I speak also today, you have such a limited capacity of true manufacturing in the right sense. So government has to move into that. I'm telling you, we are again falling into a trap of Chinese. If you are going to go only up till cell, and wafers will be imported, they will control the wafers. You do wafers, they'll control the ingots. So somewhere you have to give a complete ecosystem. I was there on a panel, I think so yesterday or day before, and one of the manufacturers was saying that there are, in fact, it was Adani who was saying that the glasses are imported. There is no glass manufacturer except for Borosil, which is limited. There is no other glass manufacturer in the country. Imagine a country which is one of the largest producers of aluminium. The extruded aluminium frames are imported. So let's look at the total ecosystem and end-to-end solution for a domestic manufacturing rather than piecemeal just because we have to support a sector. I have nothing against supporting a sector. If that sector needed support, probably you should have, as Vineet said, we should have galloped away with the safeguard duty of 25%. Nothing of that sort happened.
So in terms of the sector needing support, the duties
But my
that have
question
come,
is
have they
that-
gone to the manufacturers?
So my question is whether we want a win-win situation or we want a win-lose situation. With the support of the government, safeguard duty, custom duty, and with imports continue in its other form, manufacturers may win. But let's be honest about it, the IPPs are suffering. As Vineet said, you don't have a clarity on how the reimbursement of duty will happen. You want the lowest tariff to happen, but you don't want to pay for that extra duty. Minister announces that safeguard duty he'll try to grandfather. He says, yes, that's a very good idea. It goes to Ministry of Finance and it is debunked immediately. Ministry of Finance says nothing to it. So what happens is you are penalizing one against the other, which does not work. So my suggestion is, I agree, you impose a 40% duty, no issue. Tell me today that there will be a 40% duty for next 5 years. This policy will not change. You will have to pay 40% duty on import. I'm happy. I will tie up with a domestic manufacturer and tell him, okay, if after 40% duty, you should be at least 10% cheaper from China. Otherwise, again, I will pay 40% duty on import from China. It will not serve their purpose. The problem is, don't take me wrong. In fact, the manufacturer should not take me wrong. The profit taking starts taking place. The cartelization starts taking place. You will immediately find the prices going up. So that has to be avoided for domestic industry to survive and thrive. And the other point which they have to do is to support the IPPs, where I would be willingly go to him for a quality product, is they must invest in R&D. I think so. The investment in R&D is the key to this.
So that's a super point, and Sunil and Nick, you both said one very critical thing for developers is clarity. What I'm hearing is it's not about the quantum of the duty, but the clarity of the process,
Yes.
and ensuring that we know upfront what will be put with. Grandfathering, saying vis-a-vis actually seeing it is very different. So, Parag, more from you on this. As a developer, when we say clarity, what do we want? What would we be okay with? As Sunil said, even if we have 40% duties, we'd be fine, but it has to have a clarity. What is your view on that?
Yeah, right, Tanya. So we as developers are fully in support of promoting domestic manufacturing. Only thing that we are seeking for is a regulatory certainty. And as Jain Saab mentioned, it would be good that if a duty comes with a slightly longer horizon as compared to what it was in the safeguard duty case. Nothing much happened, neither the developer gain nor the manufacturer gain out of it. So this time, if it comes for 4 years, 5 years, we are fine with it. The uncertainties like ALMM, the uncertainties like whether there will be a sufficient cell manufacturing in India and whether we should continue buying or whether we should continue buying cells from China. So there are a couple of 4 or 5 uncertainties in the sector that we are facing. So let me start with a couple of them. So one is that what will be the difference between a duty paid on an SEZ product versus a non-SEZ product. That is still to be clarified by the government. Second is that my clause PPA is pretty strong, and that's why most of the investors are investing in India. But what it doesn't clarify whether if there is a change in duty on backsheet, change in duty on aluminum, change in duty on subcomponents of a module, whether those will be also passed through in my PPA or not. So that clarity should emerge. Similarly, there should be a clear list on who all are the manufacturers on the ALMM, what is the process. It should not happen that people keep submitting the fee and apply on ALMM and still they don't get registered. So these are the couple of things where we need clarity. Otherwise, we are absolutely fine. Let the BCD be levied. The whole market will slowly move to domestic manufacturers. That is absolutely fine.
Perfect. And, I'm hearing a very similar theme. Let's hear this from Pinaki in terms of how the C&I segment would see this, where the off-taker is not the government, but a normal consumer or an industrialist. How would that segment be impacted by duties?
Yeah, so just to take a step back, actually, so there are two things. I mean, I agree that the certainty in the policy should be there, but I kind of do not agree with the amount, actually, because in the past we had, in my past role, we had invested in manufacturing also, and there are better ways to support manufacturers like the capital cost subsidies, interest subvention, lower cost of power and all, rather than a safeguard duty or a BCD and all. So that is something, to me, it's a very negative move. Second thing is that in terms of what is essentially is doing is that just to favor a few manufacturers, a few companies, the entire industry actually takes a step back, because at the end of the day, we are actually supplying directly or indirectly to the industry. So if we are supplying to the DISCOMs, to the utility sector, or to the industries, at the end of the day, it is the cost of power that increases. Cost of power is very important in, like, DISCOMs are anyway not in a great shape. And on the other hand, the industries, especially in these unprecedented times, everybody's trying to reduce their cost. Now, power cost is a very fundamental part of their sort of cost structure today, because their sort of the throughput has come down this year. Now, in this kind of situation, any such move actually has a rippling effect on a multitude of industries. For example, we are supplying to the pharma industry, to FMCG, to auto, to data centers, and even to the utility customers. So it unnecessarily increases their cost structure when in a situation where anyway their sort of profitability is sort of very stressed. So it is something, it is a decision which actually favors 3 or 4 people, but rest of the 40-50 people, or like hundreds of people, hundreds of companies are also manufacturing in India. Let's not forget that, I mean, manufacturing solar panels and models is not the only manufacturing activity in India. As power generators, we engage a lot of people, hundreds of people. We engage, create jobs, we create development on the ground. We are also manufacturing power in India, right? And all our supply chain are actually also Indian manufacturers, be it inverters, be it the customers of power. They're manufacturing, for example, we're supplying to Cipla. Now they're manufacturing drugs in India. Now it's a vital requirement of the nation at this point in time. And how can you have a situation that you're increasing the cost? Because it doesn't actually create a very good benefit for the manufacturers also, because in a system which basically, now the point is that essentially at this point in time, the safeguard duty is behind us. So let's not argue about something that's already behind us.
Yeah.
Now we have to absorb it. Okay. Now what we should actually say, that my view is not that let the government just announce a BCD and if there is a certainty, we will go by it. See, because this is not a political discussion. We are not politicians. We should at least do the straight talking. Okay. I don't think so there are any government officials also sort of like looking at this thing, because we have expressed our opinion against safeguard duty and it happened, right? So it might as well tell what exactly we should tell, rather than saying that, okay, we should basically sort of supportive of this thing, and let's not like cut it too fine, because I feel that now, having done this, a BCD exemption should continue. Otherwise, it's just going to increase the cost of power, and which is not something which is good for these times. And until and unless there is the local manufacturing gets in place, because that's the big issue, because the safeguard duty did happen in the past, but the point is that the local manufacturing did not pick up to the extent it had to pick up, right? Because there are much more stronger moves that are needed. See, we also source a lot of things from the Indian manufacturers, including people on the panel, and we really don't see sort of a difference there. But if you look at it on fundamental economic principles also, in a country where the top line, the revenue is based on a free market mechanism, a reverse auction. Okay. Or even in the B2B business, it's in many cases, it's a reverse auction or it's a complete negotiation that happens with the customer. How can you have cost that is controlled? Because you take a decision based on a particular like trajectory of costs and you suddenly extend it or change it. So this is like, this is absolutely like a negative move. We are all in support of manufacturing in India, but manufacturing doesn't mean only manufacturing cells and modules. It means a lot more things that need to be manufactured in India. I mean, we are supplying, for example, power to companies like FMCG sector also. Okay, they are supplying essential things to the country today. Anything that increases their cost structure will be passed on to the people. So is that a good thing? It's just sort of favoring, let's say, 3 or 4 manufacturers and companies. You take the entire industry for a ride. And from an investment standpoint, because I come from that world also, it's not being seen as a very good move.
So just on that point, the duties have been there for 2 years, but tariffs have fallen. How would you relate that? And what would you say on that? Because you mentioned a specific point that the end consumer is being penalized. But
Right.
somewhere in the whole process, the end consumer has still got a lower tariff. So what does that mean?
They have a pass through. They have, see, the recent auctions, so there are 2 markets. Okay. On the utility sector, the recent sort of auctions that have happened, there is a PPA, there is a pass through. There I agree with the rest of the panelists. Obviously, there is a pass through, but the mechanism is not very clear. How do we do it is not very clear. So it rises in fuzziness. So then basically, then there are 2 arms of the government. A doesn't talk to B. A talks well with the like generators. So obviously it's a very nice discussion. Then A goes to B and then they don't agree. And what comes out is what B agrees. So essentially what is happening is that, see, there is a pass through. As a result, the discovery of lower tariffs have happened. Second is obviously the technology is improving. I mean, the cell efficiency is improving. That technological breakthroughs are happening. So that is also reducing the cost, right?
Exactly.
And
so that's a great point on the technology. And picking on the point that you just said, it's not just module manufacturing, right? There's a lot of other manufacturing as well. So Amit, over to you in terms of, how do you look at the inverter market segment being impacted with the advent of duties, and, how will that change? Because that's also a very critical part of the solar value chain, other than modules.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Amit. It is great to be part of this platform. I really thank EQ for the same. And regarding the changes, first of all, I would just like to give a brief introduction of my company. We are Senior Electric. We are manufacturing of central inverters. We started our company in Wuxi, China in 2012. And then in 2014, we acquired Emerson PV division. Then these are few of the milestones of our company. Then we started our India factory at Bangalore in 2018. And recently in this year, we were IPO and registered in China Stock Exchange.
That's
now,
great.
I will just talk of India factories only and all these things. So we started Indian factories, and Sineng have already started manufacturing in India. And last year, we started to supply the inverters from our own India factory.
Sure. So how do you see that supply from your factories, both in India and abroad? How will that be impacted, in your opinion, given the whole duty structure that is coming over?
Right now,
there is now nothing obviously on inverters, but going forward.
Yeah, our company's main focus is now to cater the Indian customers from India factory only, because of all the uncertainties right now.
Okay.
And we are moving ahead for those things, and we have already a very good pipeline for the next 6 to 8 months, or more than 1.5 gigawatt for that. Now most of the developers are asking to supply from the Indian factories. So really it is impacting, but we are lucky we had
on the positive side.
Yeah, all positive sides. So we are lucky we have a manufacturing facility in India. So it is impacting, but we have to work very hard for those things.
Perfect. So, great. I think we've set a very good foundation, and the coherent views that I've heard from everyone is, well, the structure is fine. Give us exact clarity on and a long-term duration of what you are proposing. And if you're proposing something with this grandfathering, be sure it gets implemented across divisions. Now, let's take this to the next level, right? We're all seeing that kind of the existing structure has been inefficient. So if we as a group had to say, what would we want to propose so that there's a situation where there's a balance and not just a few players are benefited while everybody grows? What would that suggestion be for us as a group to the policymakers? Obviously there will be that you have to have clarity, which is the first and foremost thing. Second is, just to start with some ideas. Is duty just enough? Can there be other stuff in terms of, intervention in terms of land, VGF support, financing? Can there be support in terms of technology? We mentioned R&D and how technology has been going up. So let's talk about these ideas. Maybe duty right now is going to the government. How about pooling it together into a kind of a fund that effectively goes back and helps? So how are different things that we can look at that? And maybe let me start with Hitesh, you again, to say, in your opinion, given that the way these things stack, how would you want the module industry, domestic industry, to grow with this? What would your suggestions be?
Thank you. Thanks. You well captured about the clarity. See, first at the country level, I think we have to think we want to be a continue as a trader or we want to be real manufacturing. That is right from pencil. I'm not only in a module manufacturing, but many other products, and we became absolutely trading company. And the balancing will never work, which ministry is trying for 10 years to balance the developers and manufacturers, and we all know the results of the day. If there is no tough decision, which has been taken for automobiles and many other industries, we will not see much manufacturing here. Any manufacturing industry needs investment, at least 6 to 7 years clear horizon. 1 or 2 years duties, we should not expect the manufacturing. That is a glass or that is a backsheet or EV or module in any product. The third thing, that when the country has a large export benefits, the prices in module locally is much higher than the prices they export to India, right? So when we compare the prices, we need to know the entire impact of the prices from both the sides and the benefits there. So when we simply compare the prices, we are again out. So when we connect all these different dots, and most important for developers is the cost of the interest and the tariff in China, tariff in India. So you start from there. And then we are talking about the balancing. I'll be a little bit negative, but I think that trying the balancing the both things when the interests of both the parties are north and south. As a country, either we decide we want to keep our money in this country, or we buy for 25 years energy. We are not buying panels. We are buying 25 years power from China by importing the panels and inverters. So we give that money from our pocket. As a country, I see one pocket. So we give this money to the another country and let them rotate that money in their economy and let them grow, right? We export our money. Yeah. And it is not only solar again. As a manufacturer, I'm talking about many other products together. So this needs a very tough decision. You want to keep money in your pocket, in your country. You want to rotate that in your country, increase the buying power, employment, and many other things. Right from the corrugated box you use for the solar panel, or you want to import everything from there, including the local transportation. So this is a tough decision. And for that, as a manufacturer, I have been always for last 10 years telling that it will take 1 year, right? Maximum 1 year, we will see the manufacturing. We have seen today we became, Jain Saab is here, the largest producer of the two-wheelers in this country. And on those days, I don't know if we are remembering that, we are paying 20,000 rupees a premium for a scooter. Yes. But 100% duty, today 200 rupees, 500 rupees is a competition for two. So as a country, we need to think differently. I was asking 100% duties, and then due to again the customers like you, I have to rate it down to the 50%. But the 50% duty, I can assure you that in a 1.5 year time in this country, we will have a 20 gigawatt of the cells and 30 gigawatt of the modules. And at Waaree, we can commit a large portion of that as our commitment to this. And then we will see the competition, what we are seeing in other products. Like today we are seeing in module, domestic manufacturers module, how we are fighting for 25 paisa, 50 paisa. This will exactly happen for entire value chain, not only modules and others. So if
Very
you
well
ask
said.
me,
And, we all are
balancing,
looking.
I'm not balancing. I'm saying that take a tough decision. 1 year, we will not get the modules at the price we want, but after 1 year, there will be 10 paisa competition.
Just,
Well,
I just like to
let
weigh
me
in
build on
actually.
that.
Can I weigh in on this point
Yeah,
actually?
please go ahead.
Yeah. See, I think so, Mr. Doshi. I mean, we obviously we sort of do a lot of business with you also, and obviously you're a great manufacturer. But the point that you made about the automobile industry and the scooters and all, that's not a similar industry here. Okay, what we have an industry here is that we basically the entire capital cost is upfront. We have a long-term revenue, okay, of 20-25 years. That is the investment principle based on which investment comes into the country. Okay. Now, based on that, the entire money is paid upfront. And second difference is there here this is a primarily it's a reverse auction mechanism, but the government is actually buying the power. So there is a right. But so this is a slightly different industry. And by this way, tomorrow, let's assume lithium and batteries become a large scale thing. Now we don't have lithium in India. Can we start mining lithium in India? I mean, we cannot take like a knee-jerk reaction based on a certain current geopolitical situation and say that, okay, now everything, let's do it from India. Okay, the computer through which we are doing this thing, this itself, you cannot do everything from India today. The phones that we are talking, it's not all made in India. Okay, now all these sectors do not have a policy like that. Okay, at the end of the day, whereas in a situation where the entire capital cost is upfront, I mean, this kind of a policy is, I would not say is the best. I mean, we had invested in a manufacturing company where we waited for years for the semiconductor subsidy to come in. Don't you agree something which actually reduces your manufacturing cost is better? For example, access to much lower cost of power. The kind of power that you're paying in the Gujarat factory is not very low. It's pretty high. Suppose you get really low cost power. Okay, you get interest subvention, you get reduction in manufacturing cost. Isn't that better? I mean, in terms of creating this kind of an artificial situation like this. And I would like to hear your thoughts in terms of, isn't that, because Tanya is asking for ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And on that same light, I would also like to hear your thoughts. Maybe Ashish ji, is duties the only way that the government can think about growing the domestic sector? Being a developer come a manufacturer, is duties the only option that we have?
Tanya, you're right. I think we all know what are the options available. We have been talking about it for years now. This is not the first and the last discussion on this subject. And still where we are. It's a good idea to have ideation. It's a good idea. But I don't think so whether MNRE, MOF, or anyone is short of ideas or Niti Aayog. I don't think so. It's an ideation which is lacking. I think we have to set our priorities clear. Let me say a few things, since we are also developer, manufacturer, EPC contractor, where the whole solar industry has developed in last 10 years. If you look at the top 5 developers or top 10 developers, were they in existence in the last decade? No. Why it has developed in the last 5 years? Because there was an opportunity to do business. People have invested in it. That opportunity has fructified into results, and then people have more investments in it. From 5 companies being successful, from companies which were in megawatt terms are now in gigawatt terms. It's the fact of life, which we all have seen in this last 10 years itself, or 5-7 years. Even if you look at your panelists, look at the life cycle of those companies. Leave aside anything else on that part. Now let's look at the manufacturing. Now the manufacturing in this country was also there. We were there for 30 years. We looked like outdated in the process. We were there for 30 years. Does it mean that manufacturers would not have come forward to if there was a business opportunity? Or many of these developers would not have gone to the path of being manufacturer if there is a business developer, or we would not have found other manufacturers in this country if there would have been a business opportunity. I think it was there. It is there, it will be there. The point is where we are setting our priorities. We set the priorities of making solar being a cheap source of power. We worked on it. Then we said that we should also have a made in India concept. We tried to cover it with some optics of the duties. What has happened? I think it's the unfortunate part, a guy like me who wears different caps at the same time, try to see why it is I versus you or we versus them. There is no versus in this. All of us are doing business. All of us are looking for a predictable returns from what we are investing into. At the end of the day, helping the community and the society in the same manner. That's what we may have different value system in a different English, but that's what we all believe in. We have created a business model where imports and then a tariff and competing on that tariff. I am also a part of that rat race where when we look at the tariff, the way it is going, has anyone asked us to be 3 cents, 4 cents power producer? No. We want that business. We are doing that business and we are making returns. Am I saying that this would not have possible if we would have done similar policy initiatives for manufacturing? It would have been there. Let me say that there is so much angst. I wear many caps, but let me say, if the manufacturer really has been benefited from this duty in the last 2 years, that we are scared of this duty coming for the next 1 year, which manufacturer has benefited from this? Everything is passed through. Now, what will happen? We have a bid today. We have a bid tomorrow. The bid duration is 18 months. By the time you set up the project, every developer knows out there. When you bid to the PPA, it will take you 3 months. We are talking about virtually 1.5 to 2 years in setting up a project. Each one of us knows it inside out. The duty is there for 1 year, and any further duties coming in future will be covered in the change of law. Where is the manufacturer going to help? Are you thinking that all those who are sitting here is lining in front of Mr. Doshi's or Tata Powers or anyone else's office? None of them. Let's be honest about it. I think what we need to work out here is, if we are serious, then we need to look at the options are in front of us. CapEx invention. We can all criticize about it. The power cost in this country is high. The cost of debt is high. The incentive of export is not as good as I have my competitor from outside. The paraphernalia has not been developed because I don't have a market for it. I think there is no dearth of a market here. There is no dearth of a businessman here. There is no dearth of people who can get help or get employment and everything out there. It's where I am putting my eggs in which basket. Duties, let me say it openly, in the past 2 years have not helped. There is more angst. There is more angst that some of us are now sitting in front of a regulator months and months together to get that duty back. The learnings of the last time duties have been incorporated in this time. I still don't know. We talk of grandfather calling, anything used to that.
Ashish, perfect on that, and great on the long-term perspective and the fact that it's not just one bucket but multiple that you are in. And Vineet also mentioned this point on a potential short-term view vis-a-vis a long-term solution. So, Vineet, what is your perspective to say how do you ensure that this is just not a short-term dip, but something more sustainable for this industry, which helps both sides being balanced?
I think we are forgetting two important stakeholder is the end consumer, who is looking at affordability, whether it is industry or you or me as a consumer at our home, and the utilities, which actually eventually purchase. The reason they are buying solar or wind electricity is because of its cost, not just because of the RPO compliance. We had an RPO compliance requirement, and most of the state did not follow the RPO compliance requirement. So actually, when you remove those people from the discussion, then you make the policy which is not sustainable in itself. So for the sustainable sector, I think what Ashish summarized was the good point that why these duties are not helping, because the two bigger stakeholders are never in the room when any of these discussions are happening at the government or debate. And challenge is that even the safeguard process is a very detailed process. Why should there be any additional component besides safeguard now? Because safeguard evaluates all kind of pros and cons and cost in every structure and every benefit which everyone is facing. So in my opinion, BCD, etc. will not help. What Pinaki said is probably the right way. where you create the comparative environment like China, Korea, or many other countries have done, right cost of electricity to manufacturing sector, right interest cost, so through interest subversion, and probably no import duties on the equipment import, because still all the equipment which will be used for manufacturing cell, module, or ingot mostly will come from China or Europe. And do that, and after that you announce to the industry that there won't be any further trade barriers, because eventual goal should be that it should become the most efficient source of energy, and the masses should benefit, and people who have never got electricity access have got electricity access because of government's policy. And electricity is inversely proportional to poverty. So if you want to reduce poverty, please don't make electricity expensive. Don't make it difficult for entrepreneurs to work in this country. So my feeling is that a lot of us have given a lot of input to various stakeholders and government, and the solution lies in creating the ecosystem and level playing field, not in trade barriers and uncertainty. That doesn't help. Otherwise, who is going to invest? It's not the Indian equity who is coming into this sector. All of us are funded by the foreign players. And if you are going to go to the MDB or African Development Bank or AIB does not give debt to the companies or ADB where there are trade barrier restriction in those contract or DCR requirement. So we don't have DFIs in our country. We don't have developmental financial institution. Most of the new companies module will not be bankable by global player, which no one is raising. And what we are seeing is that we are trying to kill an industry which provides more job, like a gigawatt of solar manufacturing would probably sell to module would require 500 people at the most, whereas a gigawatt of installation can provide close to 4,000 job, though it is temporary in nature. But every year, if those jobs exist, it actually substitutes a lot of construction job which does not exist in this country and helps to double the farmer's income. So entire ecosystem should be studied, and country's priority should be studied. And what solution is needed for this industry doesn't need rocket scientists. At least put two of the panelists also together, they will figure out. And exactly. In the process, no company should disproportionately benefit, because that's what causes entire ecosystem to fail. That if someone makes money and not every investor makes a decent amount of return, it will not make the sector successful.
No, so very well said. And, picking on the fact that this panel has been in front of the MNRE in video calls, trying to convince them of the same point. Sunilji, picking up your brains, these points have been mentioned multiple times over MNRE forums, to the minister, to the energy secretary, but still we haven't seen that happening in terms of both the clarity in terms of policy and a more coherent overall development, as Vineet said. So where do you think we are lacking? Because it's not, everybody wants the Indian money to remain in India. Indian government doesn't want it to go to China, right? Obviously. But somehow they're taking policy steps which are not helping. So what's going wrong?
Well, one thing is that the two ends are not meeting. The developers and the manufacturers are poles apart. In fact, I remember some 6 years back, there was a move where ministry said that let's all sit down and see what is the solution. We spoke a lot, but end of the day, it didn't fructify because the asks of each one of them was different. Having said that, ultimately we have to find a solution. So let me go back to what Hitesh Doshi ji said, that he needs a 50% duty. Okay.
Yes.
You let me
Let's
know
discuss
for how long. You let me know for how long you need that duty. How many years? You say I need it for 4 years. Okay, given 4 years. My suggestion to government is collect that 50% duty. 25% duty should go into the government coffer, and the balance 25% should be given to manufacturers to improve their capacity and their R&D.
Exactly.
So you are collecting that money from me, but that money is going for your fancy schemes which are actually bridging the budget gaps. It is not going where it should go. Now, if we know that country does not have money. We know that finance ministry does not have money. So let that 25% go to him for 2 years, not for 4 years, and let him develop that entire manufacturing ecosystem. Let him work within the constraints and bring down the cost. Let me tell you this, at least I have been taught in my MBA, whatever I little bit studied, that products will be sourced from the cheapest source and wherever it is most easy to manufacture at the lowest cost. The manufacturing will flow no matter how many duties you impose. Duties have never been a solution for anywhere in the world to bring in manufacturing. What I tell you is, the difference between India and China is, which I have been saying many times, that Chinese create capacities. Chinese create new R&D centers. Of course, backed by government. I'm not denying that. We'll come to that later. And then they find the markets. They create markets. Unfortunately for India is that unless we have a market, we don't get into manufacturing. Yes. Obviously, because we don't have a backing of the government. And an Indian promoter would not like to put in his money for something which he is not sure. So I wouldn't blame them also. But the fact is, we need to create. I'm again repeating, what we are doing today or what we plan to do today is not manufacturing. At best, at least the wafer should be also made in India. And every component should be made in India. When they're asking for 50% duty, what is going to happen? They're still going to import everything. I can give it to you in writing. Everything will be imported.
Well, Parag, I'll come to you, but it's an interesting question.
There is no glass manufacturing.
From Ashish or Hitesh, just
because even if you start manufacturing, the quality is not going to be there.
Yeah, please, Hitesh, because it was.
I just would like to give the idea. A few months back, the duty came on the EVA, and it is as high as 75%. 3 units are operational in India today. 6 are going to be operational in next 8 weeks. So probably next few months later, we will have the EVA, all EVA made in India. And then we will see the competition very shortly, because the entire capacity of EVA in India is going to be more than 20 gigawatt.
Okay, good point. And Parag, you also mentioned the same fact in terms of not just one part of the value chain, but the whole thing, in terms of EVA, backsheets, cells, wafers. And given the country we are, we do not produce a large chunk of it. So then where do you see us going?
So Tanya, if you just step back and see that what all government tried to promote manufacturing, and we all know nothing had worked out, but moment this announcement came of 40% BCD, around 10 gigawatt of at least the module capacity has been announced. Yes. So one thing that we all have to accept, that after a lot of trials, government is concluding that this is something which works. And if I just go back to what all government tried, so look at 2007, they launched SIPs. It didn't work. In 2012, they launched modified SIPs. It doesn't work. Both these schemes were based on subsidies, and subsidies were never disbursed. Then government tried DCR, and which was ruled out because of WTO. And in the last, the government tried this integrated developer manufacturing bid, where tariff discovered is 292 and hardly 2 people got it. So after all this, in this bid, only 3 gigawatt of bids were finally came and awarded. Now, the logic says that yes, BCD announcement has really worked, and let it be for 4 or 5 years. Let's give a full chance to the Indian manufacturers. Maybe initially only we will get modules of good quality, and slowly India may start getting cells, and as Jain Saab said, maybe more things down the line. But if I stop wearing the hat of an IPP and only argue around from an IPP point of view, and if we look at a broader perspective, Indian government is very clear that they want to promote manufacturing. From the last 13, 14 years, they have tried all these schemes, and it is becoming very clear now that only the BCD that too at a 40% level with some kind of a stability can take this turn of we stopping buying modules from China. So I'm not against this policy. And as I said in the beginning, only thing that we need is some kind of a long-term regulatory certainty as a IPP.
Tanya, I want to just come in before I drop off. I'm just entering the industry.
Yeah.
I agree with Parag, but Parag, there are 2 points what I have to mention here is the manufacturing is getting announced, obviously because the duty is coming in, but also a fact that IPP is getting a higher tariff, is getting a pipeline, a committed pipeline of 4 times the manufacturing capacity. So IPPs are now seeing value in that because they'll be able to build a pipeline over 4 years at a tariff which is at least 15 to 20% higher than the normal tariff today. So that is so then I talked about initially of a IPP both win. He gets a higher tariff and manufacturer gets a higher duty, so you import less. But the biggest problem would be how would you want or who will buy this power from you, considering that today the peak power is at 180, 185 gigawatt and the installed capacity is 370 gigawatt and you are continuing to add. So who will buy power at 290, 3 rupees or something? Even today, that 6.5 rupees PPA, which some of those people signed at peak power, is not, PSAs are not getting signed. The DISCOMs are not willing to buy the high cost power. Yes. Everybody wants at 2.5 rupees power. So I agree with you, and I'm so much in favor of manufacturing that we may even ourselves look at manufacturing. It's a different matter altogether. But the fact is that this is again a short-term solution. It's not a long-term solution. You need to build up capacities and give it a 3 to 4 year or 5 year time frame. But then after that, you have to stand on your own legs. That's all I'm saying. You cannot survive on duties and subsidies and all. You cannot survive. No industry survives. It has nothing to do with solar. Automobile industry worked without any subsidies, without anything. They created scale. Yes. Today, the scale is there. You need scale for this thing. That is the important thing.
Exactly, but the scale will not come overnight. And we've all established and said that we need that intervention. So Ashish, I heard you raising your hand. You had something to add? You're on mute, Ashish.
Yeah, I couldn't able to unmute earlier. I think we were going over time too, so I'll just take the last 2 minutes on this. The biggest question which we have out here is it just the manufacturing for a short term, or we also need to have a technology in place? This particular industry needs a technology infusion after every 2 to 3 years. So manufacturing has to take into consideration the technology part of it, which we are missing in this process. While the downstream industry, all of this will come, so we are looking for a payback period for manufacturing rather than the 7 or a 15-year conventional way of manufacturing to a 3 to 5 year horizon. And we need to invest in technology. So just ring fencing module is not going to help us. We need to have a policy framework and a support, which not only help us in the downstream, in the upstream segments and more on the upstream segments. We also need to have investments in technology, which cannot only come from government, but the industry and the government both have to work together for it. We are missing a part. We are just a lead adopter of technology as on this state, even in the manufacturing here or anywhere else. There is a different paradigm, and a paradigm shift is required for the same. So that's all I want to say, that there is more to it than just a manufacturing for a few year transaction.
Fair enough. And you obviously wear dual hats. So very critically when you say that. And I see here, Nikki had a point. Before we go there, I just request the audience, we will take questions after this. So if you have something pressing, please write in the chats. I've seen a lot of opinions, but specific questions that you may have, please drop in. Nikki, over to you.
Yeah. So essentially, I just wanted to take a step back into the question that you actually asked when the second round of discussions happened. So basically, you said that what is that we should do structurally going forward to essentially solve the so-called problem the government is trying to solve. Okay, and panelists have sort of have said a lot of the relevant points in this thing, but basically what we need to look at it is step by step. First of all, the safeguard duty has been continued, whether we like it or not like it, it is there now. Okay, now. That calculations and all those things actually take into account a lot of factors based on which they have continued the safeguard duty. It's done essentially. Now that has actually resulted in an increase in the power cost, which is already there. Okay, and as a result, and none of the stakeholders were actually brought into the room, that what Vineet rightly said, who are going to incur the increased cost of power. Okay, because if you take a step back, like I have been in the sector since 2005. The entire race was to race to grid parity. Now that we have reached grid parity and we have beaten a lot of the thermal costs and all, there are these artificial mechanisms trying to increase the cost. Now, the second point is now so there is some hit the generators have taken, the consumers have taken, right? Now the next step from the government should not be another BCD or something on again the same side of the equation, because we're talking about a balanced thing. Rather than that, now the entire money that we are actually going to get through this mechanism should go into subsidizing manufacturing, reducing, slashing their duties for anything that they need to import to actually get the manufacturing ready to be able to meet this kind of demand. Because we are in a moving bus. Okay, you cannot suddenly stop, say that, okay, I'll just put 40% duty and we will come. There's no guarantee, because see, we had looked at polysilicon investments 10 years back also. So in India, corporates are very good at making announcements. It's a PR mechanism. It's a soft way to put pressure on the government. I can bet you whatever is announced doesn't come on the ground. Okay. People can make gigawatts of announcement, but it really doesn't happen on the ground, because when you actually start implementing, there are so many sort of these things that happen. Okay. So one or two things have actually succeeded in promoting manufacturing, I would say. One is that the sheer cost, the cost of power getting decreased and the market size increasing for demand of power. That has actually brought in manufacturing. The second thing I would say to a certain extent is the manufacturing related tenders that happened, which basically promise that you're going to get a sort of higher power cost and all. That actually saw people committing large gigawatts of manufacturing capacity, right? So these are two things that have already worked. Let them actually play out. And what the government should now focus is on the manufacturing and reducing their cost. I mean, on the other side of the equation has already been tampered with, and we should not fiddle around anymore with it. If it is on top of this is a BCD, I really don't agree that, okay, we're saying that, okay, 40%, 50% will absorb. I don't think so. It will just dry down the investments in India. Because in a market, let's say all these companies are international companies, they're all international investors. So, I mean, we are looking at India, Australia, Japan and all. If other markets, the cost of sort of solar is lower, okay, and they don't have these artificial barriers. Because today we don't have, let's say, 10, 20 gigawatts of quality manufacturing capacity that is bankable. We have to solve that problem. It cannot be solved overnight. The banks want finance beyond the 2 or 3 top manufacturers in the country. The bank financing doesn't happen. So I think so now we should pause. We should let the manufacturing catch up. Okay, there is a 1-year window that has been given. You catch up on that. Government should put money there to reduce the manufacturing cost. And next year we should take a call. And today, during these times, when there is a sort of a global pandemic going on, there's a slowdown. There's a huge industrial slowdown, and we are sort of getting distracted by this thing. But there is a slowdown. All the industries we are catering to, there is a slowdown. And this thing, even for 12 months, see, in utility sector, because we are looking at there also, so you're not that much sort of affected by, if you believe in that pass-through clause. The industrial sector, there will be a pass-through, but it will just increase their cost. So I think, I mean, beyond this, I don't think so. Anything should be done to increase the cost of power by the government, and all the money should go into manufacturing now.
It's very well said. One of the important points, and I would love to hear one of your opinions, is the fact that we still have about over 10 gigawatts base in India, and any new base for domestic manufacturing will take its time, right? But yes, the expected installation that we are looking to say on the development side is we want to reach 100 gigawatts by 2022, which still means that we have a 60 gigawatt target left. So how do we match and bridge that gap?
Yeah, that's why I
Like
think
the
that now breathers should be given to focus on manufacturing cost reduction and not fiddle around only with the cost of generation. That's the easiest thing to do. I mean, if from the government side, it's the easiest thing to do, put a duty there. Okay. But because the money doesn't flow into the manufacturing, the coal cess happened, the coal cess that happened, there is a clean fund that had to be done. We worked with the government. The point is that money is fungible. Once you collect, it's not going into the same sector. If it goes into the same sector, I mean, we are all supportive of it. It doesn't go there, as Sunil rightly pointed out.
Perfect. And picking up a few questions from the audience, I see a question from Rishabh where he's saying that, Desh, mainly for you, at the end of the day, what's important is getting support. Now, would it matter to you if that duty amount of X was not charged to the developer as X, but given to you as a VGF support or given as something else? What would your opinion be on that as a manufacturer? Whether it's a 40% incentive or a duty or an X% incentive or a duty, would that matter?
I think we will have more NPAs.
You will have more NPAs as a manufacturer or as a...
Why? Because the Indian manufacturing, we have seen in many industries. See, I've started saying that first we have to decide whether we want to be a trading company or manufacturing company in all the products. Now, even if you set up the factory and you start the production, you get the manufacturing incentives, incentives. But after that also, if you are not competitive to China or other countries and the duties are not there, your product is expensive, you will be not able to sell. And this is exactly happened in many industries. If you are aware about the dyes, chemicals, bulk drugs, you name the industry. The whole. So what we need is like, first we have to decide. If you remember, the Jack Ma said to the big boss, like, you decided to import all the cheap goods from China and keep yourself for technology, and now why you are crying for environment? So if you remember that Jack Ma statement, that is what India needs to decide today. Okay.
No, but if you get an incentive,
we are
sorry, Riteshji, I'm repeating my question a little bit. My apologies for butting in. But if you do get an incentive, you would still be competing, in the same way. Right now, the competition is coming as having the competitor being expensive. The question here is, if a part of your expense is buried by the government, by say a VGF scheme or by an incentive on financing or by an incentive of something else, effectively it is helping reduce the cost. Would that not change things or would that still get NPAs?
No, I don't want to give the name, but there are 6 solar companies, they went bankrupt.
Okay.
And most of them, because of this thinking that they will get the VGF. Right.
Okay, so the question here is then on clarity and on commitment, that if you committed something, you receive that, and that's a question as developers also we've heard everybody saying, that if you said grandfathered, it needs to be grandfathered. That's a different question we are raising.
We have to think a little bit larger perspective here. If there is no industry coming in India, who will buy your power? Okay, even if you make a power at 2 rupees with this competition or emotions on the screen, and then we want the cheapest panel, who will buy that power, right? Let us think as a little bit on from 30,000 feet. If you do not have the enough industry in the country, you do not tell me in last 5 years where the large power buyers came here in the country. Where is a large industry came, large refinery, steel plant or anything. So we will keep producing power and we will offering the power at 2 rupees by importing from China. Where is development in the economy? And can that come without a large employment, large manufacturing? It cannot come. And manufacturing, when we say that the module manufacturing 1 gigawatt today needs 2,000 people, not 500, 600 people. After that, see, we are running industry here. And after that, it is not a 2,000 people, another 30,000 people for 1 gigawatt, who is your supplier of aluminum, box or truck driver, or you name it, the hotel, right? They employ another 30, 40,000 people. So it's not a module. As a country, if we try keep on balancing, we should forget manufacturing, right? We should forget the manufacturing at all. We should look to the cheapest power and we should buy the panels from wherever it is the cheapest in the world. And not only this, everything comes into that. But if you want manufacturing, then we need a different school of thoughts.
I have different views, but I'll come back to that. I saw Parag raising his hand. Parag, what would you like to add?
No, I was not raising hand, but yeah, I can reply. So, my limited point is that this 292 tariff, which was discovered, was kind of a subsidy only, right? So why people have not participated in that bid? So rather than VGF, you are giving, at that time the average tariff was 260, 265. Government was giving 292 tariff. So many IPPs in this panel, why they haven't bid in that tariff? So it didn't work. So point is that I have not seen any successful similar schemes worldwide where on a basis of VGF bidding, a manufacturing setup has been done. So what we are talking about is, okay, let's levy 40% BCD maybe for 4 or 5 years, but only on modules. On the cells, it will be 15% less. And let the cell be imported for some more years and then see the transition in the industry. So it's not a very bad scheme to really look at. And look, the point here is this is 10 gigawatt announcement which has been made is from a non-Chinese companies. And the reason for that is because of the press release note 3, which was released on 3rd April, where the neighboring countries can't invest and they have to follow a different FDI route, government route, rather than a direct FDI route. They have not been able to announce these capacities. The moment we give clarification on the Chinese FDI restrictions, which was levied from 3rd April, there is another 10 gigawatt of announcement which is waiting to happen. And I don't think India, there is any concern in terms of investments coming from China. The April 3rd notification was more for not acquiring in the COVID times. But because of that circular, the whole investment process from any neighboring country is 6 months long. The file goes to DPIIT sends it for the security clearance to the Ministry of Home Affairs. So if we remove those restrictions of neighboring countries investing in India, the current capacity which is announced would not have been just 10 gigawatt, it would have been 20 gigawatt. Half of the Chinese companies are waiting for investment in India.
No, very fair point. And we have one of the manufacturers with us on a panel who were outside India and have set up a manufacturing facility, okay, for inverters. But that's a great place to start, and that's one of the key milestones that we also need to promote further.
I mean, just one small point on this manufacturing related tender. I mean, to Parag's point, see, I mean, that even one side of the way, one way to look at it, not a lot of people did participate, but the ones who participated and won those tenders, okay, they are saddled with a tariff of 290 plus, and as a result of which the PSAs are not getting signed. So if at the end consumer, as Vineet rightly pointed out, if the end consumer is not buying that, and we can do all these things, but at the end of the day, we are in the business of selling power. So consumer is not buying power. We can argue and we can discuss and all this mechanism we can discuss, but at the end of the day, the power has to be sold. Because of that high cost power, the government went for bundling scheme, and as a result of which, what is happening in the PPA signing. And what happens to, again, that was related to manufacturing support. Again, that happened in terms of delaying the PPAs getting signed, working capital locked in the countries, and same, for example, you would have placed an order on one of the manufacturers here, for instance, if that thing has happened 6 months back. So it actually resulted in reduction in demand on the manufacturing side also. Okay, so any artificial mechanism will not work on the cost of power side. It has to work on manufacturing side, and manufacturing side has to be supported by reducing the cost of manufacturing. There is no shortcut to it. We have tried all mechanisms, it doesn't work. So it might as well go into, because see, the SIPs and all those things failed because that time was not the right time to do it. Because when we were importing all the module manufacturing equipment, and we were in Mozobear and all, I was in IDFCP, so we invested there. So we used to import that from short lines and all from Germany. They were very expensive, right? Now the lines you can import from China. Actually, I mean, it's a place that obviously the cost of manufacturing of those lines is lesser. So the entire manufacturing lines have become much more modular. Okay, so there the issue was that if you invest, now the technology changes, and then you have to get a new line. because we experimented with thin film, this and that. So just because that failed 10 years back doesn't mean something like that will fail now, because the technology path is very certain now. Okay, it is PV. Okay, at this point in time, it is a modular lines that are being created. The amount of silicon that you need to create the panels has gone down. So as a result, any money that is spent in supporting manufacturing today from any of the duty, let's say safeguard duty that we are doing, will be good enough to support it. But the point is that money should go into manufacturing, not go into government schemes and not go into manufacturing. So I am firmly against anything beyond the safeguard duty. So I don't want to sort of like sugarcoat it, because government should act on the other side now. Help Mr. Doshi and companies like that to sort of reduce their cost of manufacturing.
It's been we've heard such interesting points and such echo in terms of clarity on the policy, whether it is longer term for the developers or VGF for manufacturers. We've heard a very consistent theme across that, okay, if you are charging something, ensure it goes to the right place. It's not just from one pocket to the other pocket, but helps grow the demand in the sector, which we are all trying to get there. There has been impacts, but not as much as what we would have wanted. There has been a start. There's been a 10 gigawatt start, which is not a small start, but still nowhere close to where we want to get to. There are a lot of other solutions that we heard in terms of support in financing, looking at a longer term perspective, incentives. So a great, this thing. I really thank all the fellow panelists, Vineet, Sonal, Ashish, who dropped up, and Hitesh, Pinaki, and Parag, Amit, for such an interesting debate. Any last closing thoughts? And then Anand, over to you. And specifically for the audience, the kind of chatter and the thing we've seen in the chat today, I think we need way more of this interaction for people to express their opinions, and for us as industry leaders then to take it to the MNRE in our monthly meetings. So over to you guys.
If any last closing comment by Mr. Pinaki or Mr. Doshi sir, most welcome to make it, sir, please.
Rajib can take first, and then I can take.
Yeah, I think so. We are sort of whittled down to one manufacturer and one.
Yeah, exactly. The debate started healthy, but I think
you are a generator
out
also.
of time.
So you're also a generator actually. It's 2:1 now at least. Okay. No, I mean, so as a company and as a person, obviously, we are very supportive of sort of like creating a lot of jobs and manufacturing in India. But any solution that only sort of is looking at one side of the equation and doesn't look at the other thing doesn't work also. I know one way to say that, okay, it has to be either this or that. But too many people are affected in terms of the other side of the equation, because it's not really like hundreds of power generators, but the discoms, the industries. So it is almost like 5 versus like 100 people there. At the same time, this mechanism creates a versus, which is not the way it should work. We have to work together. Okay. So the way to work together is, okay, now that the safeguard duty is extended for 1 year, I do not support the move, but it's happened. We have to respect what the government has done. Okay. But it has happened for a year. And now the entire focus should be on using whatever the money that has been collected, not only for this, but also the last 2 years. There should be account of whatever money that all the people put in as a safeguard, how much has actually gone into manufacturing. For example, I know because in manufacturing side, during this like 2 month shutdown, there were issues in the people getting salaries in the manufacturing side. They had to run their factories. I don't think that the government supported, because I knew that in one of the discussions, one prime big wind manufacturer had made this point, if there is some kind of a support. So that money did not get into supporting the manufacturing, whereas we paid, and not only we, the consumers at the end of the day paid. Okay. So the interconnection has to be there. Otherwise, this will not work. We will just end up increasing the cost of power. We'll slow down the industry. And I don't think the manufacturing will help. Also, the manufacturing side, when you're financing these power plants, this facilities, Mr. Doshi, so you need, let's say, because it's not a very high margin business, we also know that. Okay, and you need like large kind of volumes, a certainty of volumes and all. So if you go and create, let's say we announce I'll do 10 gigawatt. Now, when you actually go to the hard work of actually getting that financing done, the questions that will be asked, it will be very difficult to get that thing financially closed because the margins are thin, the policy structure is unstable, okay, and anything that is putting you from the giving safeguard and all is not going to help, because the financiers might say that what if the government changes 3 years from now and this thing stops? What happens to your demand after that? So rather than that, if your cost was lower, and if I am going to finance, let's say, your facility, I would have actually loved your business proposal to finance it, because announcing something is different from actually building a large facility. Okay. And that is where the sort of things get tested. And that's why I feel entire focus should be now ensuring this additional years of safeguard duty in last 2 years, 3 years, it should go into manufacturing, reduce your cost, reduce your equipment sort of import duties, reduce your power cost, so that you are up there, let's say 2 years from now, and we are ready with the entire capacity at a cost that you can beat the Chinese people even outside India. Like you export to US, you should take them on, not via India. I mean, the Australia is a big market, Japan is a big market. You should be globally competitive. That's what the video is.
Well, great, superb thoughts. I am really excited, and thank you, Anand, for getting all of us here on this panel. The CEOs forum with all people here, and I think the coherent thing is solar is here to stay, and we are gonna be that power source which will change the future for India. And hearing these perspectives of how you balance the manufacturing vis-a-vis the developers play, ensuring that the money comes and goes where it needs. There is enough clarity on policy, and for both sides, these are just the start of our long debate that we've always seen. So, I'm really looking forward to us all working together and powering India with this, and over to you, Anand, with that.
Thank you very much, Tanya. I think we as an important sector, energy sector, and what my key takeaway from this discussion is that a very, very balanced view is required. One very underlying factor that we've missed talking about is the demand of power has been low in the country and it is not picking up. And that was probably one of the most important points made by Doshi sir, that manufacturing of anything and everything needs to grow in this country. Demand for power needs to go up, whether it be through manufacturing of solar or any other things. Now, when we come to this energy industry, no doubt solar right now is the cheapest and the most environmental friendly, the most cost hedged and a secure solution for a nation like India. So there are various aspects to it actually. From the developers side, definitely they want the cheap source of power. They want a clarity. They also don't mind whether paying, whether to buy from India or to buy from China or from anywhere else, but they need a clarity. So this one-off year or 2 years duty structure is not going to help. It's more of a kind of a half-hearted help. So we cannot be in the middle of the board. So either it's be complete that we are looking at this sector from a long-term point of view. We want manufacturing to go, so let it be like a 5-year or a 3-year horizon. Or if we don't want to give all our bets to manufacturing, then we totally open the sector. We just try to make the power cost cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So this is just one perspective. So we have to kind of decide probably on one route. These are just my thoughts. Definitely there have been schemes like CPSU schemes and manufacturing linked tenders. We have been hearing announcement about BCD, but till now there is no clarity. There have been non-tariff barriers also, such as ALM and BIS. We have not spoken about that. So, and no doubt developers have suffered getting SGD back and, keeping all the investor interest intact from foreign countries. Because ultimately, if there is no demand for these IPPs to grow, then whom are we manufacturing for? So, all these things has to have a very balanced view. And at the end, definitely, we have to look at other components also in the entire solar plant ecosystem. So kudos to Sining from China, who has set up a manufacturing in India for inverters, amongst this debate for module cells, ingots, wafer, polysilicon. They're manufacturing it in India, and I wish that you manufacture it for the world from India and grow jobs here. But lastly, I would invite Doshi sir for any closing comments.
I think, thank you very much for arranging this, and Tanya ji has managed really very well. First, we have to understand there is a very bad perception about that manufacturing needs support and all that. Today, there is a pass-through for close to 35,000 megawatt PPAs, which is going to be a 47,000 megawatt of the modules. And this is going to be continued for 2 years. So 2 years, the developers, I am also a small developer. So I should tell you that if I get a pass-through, why I will buy from India? Because of the price difference. So 2 years, there is no business for the Indian manufacturers, even if the SGD or BCD gets in place, right? And after 2 years, there is no clarity about the manufacturing. And any manufacturing company we call in our language here in Gujarati, the 1,000 days you need only to make it viable. And then you need another 1,000 days to make it profitable. So any manufacturing plant, if you have the horizon of less than 6-7 years, I call 8 years, then nothing is going to come on the ground. And that's why I was always telling that if you are trying to keep balancing, then we really should forget the manufacturing. Being a manufacturer, I am telling you that the reason is very simple, that if you put all the things put together, then you will come to know why the investments are not coming in manufacturing. You get the fund to develop a 50 megawatt or 100 megawatt of the project on ground, but you don't get a fund, or no banks are also willingly funding today for even a 200 megawatt module line. So once you start thinking all this, you will get all the answers to this. So this is not a fight between manufacturing and the developers. This needs simply to take a decision where we want to be a manufacturing country or we are very happy with being a trader. And that's what I'm trying to push in. Unfortunately, this is taken that this is a fight between manufacturers and developers. Today, many manufacturers are developers, right? So this is not a fight. So please make this session more as a country, we need to take a decision.
Exactly. And as a country, we need solar power. And that's what we're discussing on how do we ensure the maximum of that at the best price, but while keeping the money in India, not rotating it to an outside country, which then does it, but keeping it in here, in our country.
So thank you very much, Anandji, Tanyaji, and entire team for this discussion, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Doshi sir. Thank you very much, Tanya, and thank you very much, everyone. I'm extremely humbled with an amazing dialogue, a very natural dialogue, and I'm hopeful that some solution comes out of this. It's just not a webinar. I think MNRE meeting is going to be on Monday. So probably we get some solution. We are able to announce to everyone that which way are we sailing. And I hope that in India, the entire ecosystem grows, definitely. But above that, if some way we can also cooperate with the world. So if all can sail in that boat together, nothing like it. So that is my wish list. So thank you very much. It's been 90 minutes and thankful to everyone to join. And it was a great privilege and honor for me, and I'm thankful to everyone. So looking forward for more discussions like this in future, and have a nice weekend. And especially in the pandemic times, everyone be safe, be inside, and take care. Bye for now.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone.